In the Cthulhu mythos, Lloigor and Zhar are two relatively lesser-known Great Old Ones, whose forms are imbued with mystery, terror, and otherworldly presence. These two Great Old Ones are often connected and appear within the same mythological background. Their history, powers, and characteristics have been enriched by various authors within the Cthulhu mythos. Lloigor first appeared in the story Lair of the Starspawn by August Derleth and Mark Scherer. Derleth, one of the early developers of the Cthulhu mythos, introduced the concept of expanding Lovecraft's universe through other writers. Lloigor is depicted as an invisible or semi-formed entity, whose existence and influence are more commonly perceived mentally rather than through physical form. They are capable of manipulating wind and energy, often manifesting through powerful psychic abilities, which cause humans to experience discomfort, fear, sickness, or even physical decay. They are described as being able to influence human thoughts and actions through telepathy. Lloigor has a deep connection with nature and is often found dwelling in ancient ruins or hidden secret locations, often associated with the power of the wind. In some stories, Lloigor is depicted as a storm-like entity that moves through the wind and can even manipulate weather and climate. The history of Lloigor is extremely ancient, with legends suggesting that they existed on Earth long before human civilization. They are said to have once lived on sunken continents such as Atlantis and Lemuria. After these continents were destroyed, their power diminished, but they still exist in the shadows of the world. Lloigor is sometimes linked to Earth's dragons or other ancient creatures, and it is believed that they once ruled the Earth alongside these prehistoric beings. Zhar, whose full name is Zhar Lloigor, is often paired with Lloigor, and is sometimes considered its twin or a symbiotic existence. Like Lloigor, Zhar first appeared in the same work by August Derleth and Mark Scherer. In some versions, Zhar is portrayed as a more powerful Great Old One. Zhar is described as a massive, multi-headed entity whose exact form is often incomprehensible to humans. Its appearance varies across different works, but it always exudes an aura of oppression and menace, often with some sort of non-human, grotesque physical traits. Like Lloigor, Zhar possesses immense psychic powers and is capable of enslaving or guiding humans and other life forms through mental control or influence. Zhar's existence and power transcend the material world, manifesting on psychic or multidimensional levels. Zhar shares a deep connection with sunken continents and ancient civilizations, much like Lloigor. Zhar has a particular association with Lemuria, and it is said that Zhar was once worshipped by the Lemurians as one of their deities. After Lemuria's destruction, Zhar and Lloigor's powers were weakened, and they gradually retreated from the world. In some stories, Zhar is believed to reside in the mountains of Burma or beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica, sealed away or slumbering, waiting for the moment to reawaken. Zhar's existence is filled with an air of mystery and incomprehensible danger, with thoughts and goals that run completely contrary to human logic. Zhar and Lloigor frequently appear as a pair of related Great Old Ones. Their powers are typically expressed through mental control or enslavement, and they prefer to hide in ancient ruins, waiting for the chance to regain their strength. Their forms are usually fluid and unfixed, capable of changing at will, or they may appear to humans in an intangible, invisible manner. In the Cthulhu mythos universe, Lloigor and Zhar are not as widely known or as frequently featured as Cthulhu or Hastur, but they represent a class of Great Old Ones who control psychic and natural elements. Their motives are often incomprehensible, but it is certain that they pose a great threat to humanity, particularly through psychic and mental corruption. Although they do not appear as frequently in major storylines as Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep, or Hastur, Lloigor and Zhar still play an important supplementary role in the mythos. They demonstrate the diversity of the Great Old Ones, showing that it's not only physical monstrosities that threaten humanity, but also fearsome powers that operate on a psychic and spiritual level. Mordiggian is a mysterious and terrifying Great Old One in the Cthulhu mythos, created by Clark Ashton Smith. He first appeared in Smith's short story The Charnel God. Mordiggian is not a character originally conceived by H.P. Lovecraft, but Smith, as one of Lovecraft's close associates, expanded the mythos by adding more exotic and unknown elements to its cosmology. Mordiggian is typically depicted as a vast, indescribable darkness or shadow, with no fixed shape, exuding an intense sense of dread. His form seems to be composed entirely of darkness or shadow, often manifesting as a swirling, devouring void. Those who encounter him experience overwhelming fear and despair. One of Mordiggian's most notable traits is his strong association with death. He is considered the god of the dead, consuming corpses and drawing strength from death itself. In his temples, bodies are offered to him as sacrifices, symbolizing the living's awe and fear of the dead. Mordiggian is deeply intertwined with death, ruling over the mysterious city of Mythos, which is the setting of the Charnel God. In Mythos, all the dead must be brought to Mordiggian's temple, where they are offered to the god of death. The citizens of Mythos hold Mordiggian in great reverence, believing him to be the ultimate lord to whom all the dead are destined to belong. The temple, known as the Charnel House, is Mordiggian's domain, where the dead are brought for processing. For the people of Mythos, death is not seen as the end of life, but as a rite of passage into Mordiggian's realm. Mordiggian's worshippers, primarily the citizens of Mythos, believe that all will eventually be consumed by Mordiggian, so they show reverence and offer sacrifices to him during their lives. The priests of Mythos are devoted servants of this Great Old One, responsible for performing all the death-related rituals, including preparing the corpses and ensuring they are properly offered to Mordiggian. These priests have an extraordinary tolerance for death and darkness. They handle the dead without fear or disgust, and may even possess some form of psychic connection with Mordiggian. Dressed in black robes, they carry out their duties in secrecy, isolating themselves from the common folk of the city, entirely immersed in their mysterious relationship with the god. As a Great Old One, Mordiggian wields immense power, especially in the realms of death and shadow. He can consume and digest any corpse, whether human or otherwise. Although he primarily operates in the vicinity of Mythos, his influence may extend to other realms, particularly those associated with death and darkness. Mordiggian's dark form makes him elusive and difficult to harm. Since he has no physical body, ordinary weapons or spells are virtually useless against him. He not only consumes bodies but can also drain life force and may even erode the souls of the living. Mythos is a city devoted to the worship of Mordiggian, where the belief that all bodies belong to him after death runs deep. This belief shapes the entire social and religious structure of the city. The Charnel House, located at the center of Mythos, is both the seat of power and the spiritual heart of the city. Every deceased person must be brought to the Charnel House to be sacrificed to Mordiggian, and refusal to participate in this ritual is seen as sacrilege, punishable by social ostracism or worse. Although Mordiggian may not be as widely known as Cthulhu, Hastur, or Nyarlathotep, he still holds an important place in the Cthulhu mythos, particularly in contexts involving death, darkness, and ancient religious rites. His presence underscores the diversity of the Great Old Ones, representing not only chaos and terror, but also a force intrinsically linked to the cycle of life and death.